And we're back after a brief break. You're watching South Texas Crossfire right here on KTMV, the only station with political teeth. And we want to thank our sponsors, River City Hospice, 882-5900, Hope, Dignity, and Love. It's got to be hospice. And let's not forget Vasquez Flores Home Health, 881-9922. And I encourage everybody out there, if you've got a loved one that needs care at home and you want to try to keep them out of a nursing home or long-term care, give them a call, 361-881-9922 today. With me today, back here on our break, we're coming back with a candidate that's well known to people, also comes from very respected families, and also running to be your judge, County Court at Law, number 3, right here in Nueces County. DeeAnne Galvan, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes, and you know, I've practiced law with you for a long time. You know, our daughters go to the same school.
Yes.
And, you know, and I've appeared in front of your husband, but a lot of people out there, I want them to know about you and your education, training, and background. I saw a pamphlet of you, the flyer. I loved it, but I think let's talk about the flyer. Yeah, let's talk about where you grew up and how you and the judge got together and all that stuff.
Well, I grew up in many different places across the country. My dad is in the military. He was a captain in the Navy. My mom's always been a successful business owner doing real estate. I have a sister, Misty, my very dearest friend, and my daughter Lexi, who's 10 years old.
Beautiful
and who's
little
a
girl.
great friend of your daughter's. And I went to high school at Flower Bluff, and I then moved to San Antonio, went to paralegal school, became a paralegal, loved the practice of law, and decided to go to law school at St. Mary's. And then I decided to come back here and start a practice on my own. I worked with Bill Edwards for a couple of years as my very first job, and then wanted to be a trial lawyer, wanted to be in the courtroom, representing people, helping people. And so I've been in private practice for the past 23 years. And in 1999, I was appointed by the city council and the mayor as a municipal court judge, which was a job I just truly, truly, truly loved and had a lot of passion for. And I have handled cases in every county court, district court, federal court, courts in other counties. I have tried hundreds and hundreds of cases, both anywhere from a capital murder case down to a traffic ticket. I have done guardianships, probates. I have handled pretty much every case that you can imagine. I have represented children and the elderly as ad litems, and I've also done a lot of juvenile cases.
Well, and you know, you've got an extensive law experience. A lot of people out there ask what the difference between district court and county court at law is. Can you illuminate them a little bit on that?
Absolutely. The difference between district court and county court on the criminal side is district court handles felonies.
Okay.
Capital murder, aggravated assault, aggravated sexual assault, all the very serious crimes, where county courts have family violence cases, DWI, thefts, criminal trespass, and lesser punishable criminal cases.
Unless the DWI is your third or with a child, then that becomes felony.
Exactly. Same with family violence. If you have a family violence choking case, that would be a felony. Third, family violence is also a felony.
Let me ask you this. You know, you have served in the courts for a long time. You've been on the bench in the municipal court. What made you want to run at this stage, you know, in your career as a county court at law judge?
This has been a dream of mine. In fact, my husband and I were talking about it before we were even married, and we've been married almost 15 years. I have always wanted to do this. It is my passion. When I was blessed enough to be appointed as a municipal court judge, I really saw the opportunities that a judge has to make incredible changes in a person's life. You really, really do. And that is totally in your hands. And when a person walks into your courtroom, depending on how you handle that person's case, can make a huge difference in the rest of their lives, and also can affect the lives of the citizens of Nueces County.
Absolutely.
For example, if you have a person that comes into your court that has a first DWI, there are so many programs available now to deal with the person's problems that have caused them to have a DWI. And it would be my goal to make sure that when that person walks in with that first DWI, it's their last DWI. and I would use every program available. I would make it as strict as possible to make sure that their issues are addressed so they don't come before a court again. They don't run out and hit somebody or kill somebody because they're drinking and driving.
Well, and your opponent is someone who's been appointed. Of course, as I was talking with Alex about, right now what we have is a Republican-controlled county commissioner's court.
Yes.
And also that came from that appointment, whereas a district court judge may have the governor's stamp of approval,
That's right.
but that's also supermajority and Republican controlled. I guess what I'm getting at there is that now this is going to be a general election. This is a presidential election. We've got a race that arguably is neck and neck presidential, but all politics is local, meaning that the voters are going to come out probably more in a presidential cycle.
I agree.
You know, so we've got some very strong traction in the Republican and independent vote. To get their vote, you have your base. Everybody knows who you are in the Democratic Party and a lot of people on the Republican side. But to get those votes, they're going to have to say, I'm going to have to cross over for you. Why should they cross over?
For my experience, when I was appointed as a municipal court judge, my opponent had been licensed 1 year. I have tried way more cases than he has. I have the ability to deal with the cases that are in that court better than he does. I also have the experience of being in a municipal court judge where you hear thousands and thousands of cases. I believe that those things set me apart. I believe I have the ability, because I was a municipal court judge and my 23 years of practice, I understand when a person comes into court, what they're dealing with. I understand what it's like to be on their side, as I've represented them many times. And I think that ability will help me make County Court at Law number 3 one of the best courts we have.
And the other question I always bring out, and I have a daughter, and you know, maybe she'll do whatever she wants to do, but you never know if she chooses law. I always have admired. There's another DeeAnne, your counterpart, DeeAnne Torres, another,
Yes.
you know, Kathy Snapka, who trained me, a super trial lawyer as well, who's tried many cases like yourself. And there is a big influence as far as women. There was an influx of women or female judges. How has it been for you as a woman in a field that used to be male-dominated? Not anymore. But you've seen it. When you first came out,
Oh, yes.
there were a lot less female practitioners. That was a barrier for you, but also how has it become a plus?
I think women now have so much more power than they ever did. 23 years ago, when I was licensed, I would go into a courtroom and docket call, which is where we go and we announce ready for trial or not ready for trial. There were so many times I was the only woman who did criminal law. I was
and
the
a
only
male
woman.
judge right up there on the bench.
Absolutely.
And you're the only female that came in.
Absolutely. And in fact, my very first murder trial was in front of Judge Garza, and the 2 attorneys on the other side were both males. I was the only female. So in those days, it was a lot more difficult. Now I think it's amazing. We have so many young lawyers that are women. My daughter's pediatrician is a woman. My pediatrician is a woman. It's amazing. My daughter, well, mine not pediatrician, obviously, but my doctor is a woman. I think women are coming out. They're finding out how important education is. There are so many wonderful role models. Nothing makes me more excited than when a new lawyer comes to me and says, I've seen you in the courtroom. I love what you're doing. I think you're an excellent lawyer. Can you help me out? And I return the favor when my mentor, one of my mentors was Doug Tinker and Judge Janice Jack.
Awesome, awesome people.
Both. And both always helped me no matter what. And I always want to be able to return that favor.
Well, and you know, I think that that's something to be said about that women jurists, you know, we're not trying to, you know, you can't be gender neutral or neutered. I mean, you bring your experiences, your gender, everything to the courtroom. Women that are at risk in your courtroom as you sit up there, or that are victims of domestic violence, or that have trouble with alcohol and drugs, is there something, because they have children a lot of the time, and it impacts the children as the primary
Absolutely.
caretaker, is there something you envision creating that would also help with that concern? Because you worked in County Court at Law number 5. You've seen the impact of drugs and alcohol
For
when
years.
mothers, you know, how they impacts. What would you do? to help those women and also help society?
Right now, what I think one of the things that may be lacking is we have so many programs available to help people with drug, alcohol, family violence issues. There's great programs. One thing I would like to see is more emphasis on parenting classes, because you're right, the victims so many times are the children. And I have seen it so many times in my practice in County Court 5, which is the Child Protective Services cases where I've represented children in the most horrifying situations that you can possibly imagine. Literally, you will go home crying after those cases. It's just so devastating. So in the family violence, the drug and alcohol abuse, where those children are seeing that, a lot of times they're part of that. If we could nip that in the bud by introducing parenting classes, introducing more DWI programs, introducing more family violence programs, and using them. They are way underutilized right now, and that is a goal of mine, to stop recidivism. When I do so many felonies, and I see these people on their 3rd, 4th, and 5th DWI, where they've gone and gotten 15 days in jail, maybe probation, and not a lot of programs.
With a lot, not treatment.
Without treatment.
Because the programs have been cut, you know, so you'd have a budget. But are you saying that there are ways to handle it?
Absolutely.
More constructively than just jail.
I
especially
totally
at that
agree.
level, at county court at law. We're not talking about the violent offenders.
Right, because the jail time they're getting is very inconsequential. A lot of my clients will say, I don't want probation because I think it might be too hard.
Just give me the jail time.
Just give me the jail time and I'm out of here. And that's what they
Right.
what they feel like. You know, it's easy for them to go to jail. It's no big deal for them to spend 15, 20 days in jail. And then they come right back and they've beat up somebody else. They've assaulted someone else. They're drinking and driving again. I just recently had a guy, 7th DWI, below .27, which is literally almost comatose, before he really got some substantial treatment. So I think it's time, when we use our programs, we keep the funding. We don't use our programs, we lose our
That's
funding,
true.
and we lose our programs.
That's true.
But if you're driving on the street, and I know I was hit by a drunk driver last year, you're driving on the street with your child, my child in the car, and you have someone who's drinking and driving and hits you, I hope to God you're fortunate enough, but you hope when you go to court, you come in front of hopefully a judge like me that's going to say, hey, you're not doing just a few days in jail. You're going to be under this court's thumb for an entire year. You're going to do community service. We're going to hit them fines, court costs. You were going to do victim impact panel. You were going to do every alcohol and substance abuse program that is available to the court.
And that segues into my next thing. As we talked about, you've got your base. You know, you are a conservative Democrat, but the Tea Party people, the Republican people that say, well, I'm going to vote straight ticket. How do you reach across there? And you've already kind of intimated that you're going to be hard on crime. But to those people, you're going to knock on those people's doors on Ocean Drive in Cal Allen and that base and conservatives. How do you tell them why should they cross over and vote for you?
Exactly. And I think it's my experience. I think my experience in dealing with so many people in municipal court. I think my experience with dealing with so many people in my general practice of 23 years. A judge should not be a Republican or a Democrat. A judge is nonpartisan. A judge's sole job is to look at each individual case, take the facts of that case, and apply the law to that case. You shouldn't rule because you're Republican or Democrat in any way, shape, or form. The law tells you how to rule, and then the judge has the discretion of implementing any programs or making, if the person is found guilty and say they're placed on probation, I would make sure that that person gets every opportunity to make sure that they come before that court on reviews and to make sure they're doing everything they're supposed to, or they will go to jail. And they will go to jail for the maximum underlying sentence of their probation.
Well, very well said. DeeAnne Galvan, running to be County Court at Law, number 3, your judge here in Nueces County. And I know a lot of people are excited about your campaign. We see your signs all over South Texas. The red, I like it.
Thanks.
But people want to get involved. How can they get a hold of you on Facebook, email, and phone?
Yes, I have an Elect DeeAnne Galvan Facebook. I have a DeeAnne Galvan for Judge website where you can actually donate on my website. My cell phone number is always available to anyone. It's 361-442-9330, and my office is 884-5400. I'm over at the Frost Bank Tower, and I encourage everyone to get out and vote.
Please.
We have so many amazing Democrat young people, so many amazing ones. And they are working so hard to get out the vote. And we need to if you tell 10 people to go and vote, your voice makes a difference. Every vote is so important. If you don't vote, you lose that voice.
A felon came up to me that you probably,
Exactly.
He said, I can't vote. And I said, you've got a family of 200 people, right, that you see every Sunday for a barbecue.
Yeah.
Get them all to vote.
Get them to vote and express your opinion. That is your way to say, I like the way things are going. I don't like the way things are going. If you don't vote, you can't complain. And it's everybody's inalienable right to vote. And it's so, so crucial that you get out there and you say what you want to say.
Well,
and be heard.
We want to thank DeeAnne Galvan, your next judge in November 2012, that's going to be here serving you. And please get out there. Remember her website, and that's DeeAnneGalvanforJudge.com, and elect DeeAnne Galvan on Facebook. And then, of course, your office is 884
5400.
And that's 884-5400. And the cell, if they want to text or yard sign or donate, is
442-9330.
And you heard it right here. And this is Joe Flores thanking you all for watching. Once again, remember DeeAnne Galvan running to be your next Nueces County Court at Law number 3 judge. And we're out of time, but I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by and watching us. And thank God, our greatest sponsor. Thank you all, and God bless.